On this episode of AV Week, we take a look at when live events and staging will come back together. Touchless AV and protecting your AV techs. All that and more. Next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 455, recorded Friday, May 8th, 2020. Touchless AV.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Kramer, AV Beyond the Box, and by Christie Digital, and by
Draper, focused on innovative solutions,
and by Biam.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us to discuss the news and information we have gathered this week. First and foremost, Megan Dutta from SEN. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Staying in the state of Illinois, because that's where I am, and that's all that matters. It's Jeremy Caldera coming down the pipe, down 55 and not 57, 55 and over to 74 in beautiful Peoria/East Peoria. Mr. Caldera, how are you, sir?
I am excellent.
Excellent. He is with IAS. And last but not least, in the beautiful state, the Sunshine State, is Kate Calderon. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So a couple things real quick. Actually, Kate was featured this week, and we're going to talk about that real briefly. Go to our website or go to Megan's website, either one. If you want to read, actually, you have our video up there too. So if you want to read and watch, go to avnetwork.com, all of the SCN the 9. If you just want to read or watch or listen, you can go to our website. But we're featuring Megan's SCN the 9, 9 of the most promising up-and-coming young AV professionals. This week, it was Kate and 2 of her cohorts. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be highlighting the rest of the 6. So anything about them, Megan? How wonderful they are, how awesome
they're all wonderful, and you can find all the stories on their site. And we have a list on Twitter, so if you want to follow them on Twitter, because all 9 are active on Twitter.
Yeah, they all are. So, all right, guys, let's kick this off. First and foremost, from our friends over at AV Magazine, September expected to be significant for events sector. This is a survey of events professionals. This is over in the UK, but it's going to translate here. I'm expecting, which is what I'm going to talk to you all about. We're all living in a virtual environment right now. Infocom has gone virtual, Infocom Connected. A number of folks are putting together virtual events instead of their usual in-person. We here at AVNation are helping out a number of folks with those as well. Oh, yeah. But September feels like a long way away, right? To be frank, ISE feels like a long way away. It was only, 2.5 months ago that actually all 4 of us were in Amsterdam. And now we're staring down the middle of June, where Infocom will be virtual. A number of us will be involved with that as well. September, though, and obviously none of us are medical doctors. None of us are work for the CDC. I'm not asking for a medical prognosis here. What I am asking, though, is this report and this survey too rosy, or is it pretty much in line with what you guys are hearing? Caldera, we'll start with you on this.
I was very much an optimist, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks ago. I'm very much a pessimist now. Glass went from half full to half empty, right? I anticipate major stuff not opening up till at least the end of the year.
Well, okay.
Right? In the state of Illinois, I don't see it until 2021. In my honest opinion, in the state of Illinois, dead serious. I've actually had some meetings with some churches about, going online and going virtual and upgrading cameras and stuff like that. Can't get cameras; they're on back order till July now. So many people want them, but they are anticipating not being able to be open until at least Christmas time. Right? Yeah. Many of the churches they're just prepping for that now, because they just, most of the capacity of these churches is more than 50 people. And, you, Tim, living in the state of Illinois, what our governor's plan is and what goes with that. So as far as the event industry as a whole goes, at least in the Midwest, events, that's always more than 50 people if you're going to be renting sound gear and everything else. Right. So I don't know. I just don't know anymore. I even worry about ISE. Right. What is going to be the new normal? That's the question. That I don't think, like I said, when we were in Amsterdam together, there's none of us would have fathomed that this is what this would have turned into, right, at this point in time. So I don't know. Like it's so up in the air right now. And, my personal opinions aside, we'll just say that we just don't know. Right?
All right. Kate, same kind of question here. Kate's outside of Orlando or in Orlando? Big, huge convention area, big, huge convention and live staging area. What are you hearing or what are you seeing when it comes to when we're going to get back to some sort of live events areas?
Yeah, as much as I would love to say, yeah, September, we're going to start seeing some things starting back up. Like Jeremy said, it unfortunately isn't looking or sounding good, in my personal opinion. I know Orlando-wise, travel industry-wise, and hospitality-wise, Disney is, I heard, planning on somehow opening up in June and July. We'll see what happens with that. But again, they're also saying because we are opening back up and what a lot of people think is too soon, there could be a second and third wave coming this fall too. So, which would mean, our September, October, November things will not be happening. So we will see.
Yeah. Megan, let's be frank here. Disney is closed down, right? And when Disney closed down, it's what is it? FEMA has a Waffle House extreme level, right? That's their emergency level. When Waffle House closes down for the FEMA, and I'm not making this up, when Waffle House closes down, it's when the crap really hits the fan. And for those of you outside the U.S., if you ever come here, I will treat you to a Waffle House, completely covered hash browns. But Vegas is closed down. Disney is closed down currently, right? However, just like Florida is starting to open up, Georgia is starting to open up, Texas is. Yes, the three of us are in the state of Illinois. They have a 4 or 5 stage plan through the end of the year. I don't understand all of it, I'll be frank. But it's a slow roll type thing. Is September when it's going to happen, or are we looking at 2021 or being really pessimistic 2022?
I'm saying summer 2021. I have doubts about ISE. I don't think CES is going to happen. And like Kate said, everyone's predicting there's going to be a second wave in the fall. I just don't. I mean, CEDIA right now is going full strength saying they're having the event, but the convention center is a hospital right now. Yeah. Not only are people not going to want to travel, there's going to be so much social distancing. I just don't see how you could do a physical event like a trade show with that.
And the one thing about CEDIA, at least for us, and like Megan, she has a number of contractors, we have Matt Scott. And Matt is Canadian. And as much as we make fun of Mr. Scott for being Canadian, he can't get in the country right now. And I don't know when he'll be able to, right? Matt covers our residential stuff for us, and he is the anchor of our CEDIA coverage. Now, does that mean that I have to learn what X10 is? No, we have other smart people for that. But yeah, that is a concern, regardless of whether they do it or not. You look at DSC, Digital Signage Expo. They are one of the few shows that have postponed and are holding to a September date, which is when they pushed off theirs. A number of other folks who are doing regional shows are looking at October, November. Then you look at the global scale, and Infocom specifically, they have a number of shows that are regional global shows, like Infocom India, Infocom China, which they pushed off, Singapore, which they pushed off. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we hit with the second or third wave, and when we all kind of get back to being together, I guess. All right, folks. Next story comes to us from, or actually us, is from kind of Mark Del Giudice and George Fournier sat down with us and kind of gave us an overview of the ways that our folks can stay safe and AV integrators can stay safe. And I want to pick a thing from George. George Fournier has been a firefighter for many, many years, and he talks about using hazmat emergency equipment. And Kate, I want to start with you on this. As our folks are going back into place, as they're going back into workplaces, we need to make sure that they are safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can we educate our integrators and our friends, right, who are in the industry, to make sure that they have the proper equipment, the personal protective equipment to do their job safely?
I would love to see one of our organizations. I know Megan and I were chatting a little bit about this. Like, I know legally they can't really come out and make a full health regulation list, like specifically for integrators, but some type of checklist or guidelines that they can give the integrators to say, hey, not only do you have this specific checklist of when you go on a job site, everything that you should be having, but also now here's new safety guidelines and different things that you could also have. Not only that, but like, where can they find these different PPE, like shields and masks and gloves? Because a lot of people are still having a really hard time also finding them. So I think just starting to put out resources of where they can find these things to protect their people, and then also some type of guideline checklist, whether it goes in their company rule book, something, to just help start changing the way that everyone's thinking about it when they go on job sites. Because I don't know if it really has been thought about yet. I know a lot of people are starting to go back on job sites if they haven't been.
Yeah. Megan, is this something like Kate said, where somebody like AVIXA or CEDIA or NSCA can come out and say, these are our recommendations? Obviously, from a legal standpoint and an insurance standpoint, they probably shouldn't say, you should do this and we guarantee it. However, putting something out there that says, these are our guidelines, right? These are the things that we've talked to really smart people about, and this is what they're saying? Or is it more on the individual integrator and manufacturer when they start sending people out?
I think it can be on everybody to make sure that they're doing the best that they can do for their employees, which are like their family. I think an association guideline would be nice, talking to, whoever they need to talk to that are medical experts, not necessarily, an integration firm will have ideas about what their employees should be doing, but they're not medical experts. I think organizations like AVIXA could be talking to people like that. And I also think AVIXA could be talking to legislature and making sure things are regulated where they should be, and getting advice from integrators into where they should not be regulating things like this.
Yeah. Jeremy, you're the one integrator on here, so I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you what you're doing, but should this be on, what should we do, I guess is the best way to put that, to make sure that it should not
be on AVIXA's radar.
Yeah.
Right.
At all.
I mean, they should be maybe lobbying or something on behalf of their membership with the events industry and getting people up and working. But like Kate said, there's legal issues about protective stuff. You could give guidelines. I got a really interesting webinar from the NSCA, which I logged on to, and I was like, come on, guys, like, there's no new information here, right? Every integration firm needs to take responsibility for themselves and their employees, right? The state of Illinois has mandated us as an essential business, working within state organizations such as University of Illinois, other places like that, where we have to have an active COVID-19 PPE plan in place within the organization. So we've had to take the time, invest the time to put a plan together, if you will, right? It was the right thing to do anyways, but it was required if we wanted to get back on the job site. I mean, we're working in state buildings, not the Capitol, but universities, other places, as long as, and it's been useful because there's been places that have been shut down and we've been able to say, hey, can we come in anyways because we have this response plan in place? And they said, oh yeah, sure, right? So we just did that on, just because we kind of had to. But there's no one size fits all. So that's why I don't think AVIXA should have their hand in that pie, right? Because what's required here in Illinois is different than what's required in Kansas, which is different than California, which is different than Florida, which is, you know what I mean? So I think just that the integration companies have to take the responsibility for themselves and their employees, especially small companies like ours, where we're just a small, tight-knit family. So.
I just want to clarify, I just was not saying that they should say what's required. I think they can help provide guidelines.
Yeah. I mean, sure. It's generic. It's going to be generic though, and it's going to be no different than anything else that we've already got. And that's just my opinion, right?
So let me ask you this: if you can share, because obviously, yes, Jeremy is in the state of Illinois, so those guidelines are going to be specific to the state of Illinois. And The one thing I am still continually fascinated by with more people I meet overseas is the federalization of the U.S. Right? Folks don't understand some of the guidelines that we 50 states are so different. Right? Fact that Georgia is open and Texas is, and we are not. The B3 are not. Florida is starting to open up a little bit more, actually, more than we are. But we are localized by and large. Jeremy, can you share with what was in that plan or what they asked you to be in that plan?
There's nothing really drastic, right? It's the masks are required. Employees have to take their temperature daily. Make sure there's what to do when you have symptoms. What the plan is in place for employees who do experience symptoms and self-quarantining. It's just a matter of documentation, right? It's documentation. We follow the CDC guidelines, and it's like a 2-page document that we had to write, and then stating social distancing, but it's pretty in line with what the federal government's been doing, right? Okay. It's just that specifically within the state of Illinois, we had to have a plan together. It's just taking the time and putting it together and writing the paperwork, right, to allow us to do that. And like I said, the association, as much as they can give those guidelines, that's all they're going to do. That's all they can do is give the CDC recommended guidelines, right? Because that's what on a federal level will work. Keep in mind that even though the state of Illinois is like California, is like New York, the hotbeds of the country, right? They're following the same thing. It's just a matter of what the specific businesses that can and cannot operate are that are different, in my opinion. The actual guidelines as to how to protect yourself and your employees are pretty much universal.
Very good. Last story here actually comes to us from Megan and her organization, SCN. Our old friend, Margot Dewahi, she's not old, she's been, never mind, writes a story about how technology can help us in this upcoming reality, because as we all come out of this, the increase for demand for touchless AV solutions is what Dr. Dewahi is writing about. And she actually interviews Brandy Alvarado from Mad Systems, talking about, quote unquote, the desire for touchless installations may translate into the integration of more sensors to provide touch-free controls and facial recognition. Megan, we're going to start with you on this. Is this something you're seeing come down the pipeline, both from a integration standpoint, but also from manufacturers we're all talking to as they get ready to gear up and show us their latest, greatest things? Is this another piece of R&D that they're all starting to get into?
I think they're all definitely working on it. I mean, we've seen a couple kind of COVID-related press releases, but everyone I've talked to is working on different solutions. And one thing I think Brandy says in here that's really interesting is this might kind of put VR to a screeching halt, because the equipment, we've been pumping it up like VR is going to be pro AV, it's going to be great, we're going to start incorporating it. We're all trying to figure out how, but you have to, especially with headsets, there's so much touch involved and so much cleaning needed because it's going to be on your face. It might stop it for a long time. Maybe is this the death of the VR headset for us for now? Who knows? But so. I think it's interesting. You love it, Jeremy.
Well, hang on a second, Keller, because towards the end of the article, Margot writes about the smartphone experience, right? This is something that it's not VR, it's AR. So AR is augmented reality. And that's something, though, that is it's your own personal device, right? And you're looking through the lens of your cell phone. And then on the other side, you're seeing whatever the programmer wants you to see, as far as there's the real world and then there's the augmented world. Is that, maybe it's the death of VR, but is it the rise or gives AR a foothold here now?
Yes. I mean, I've always thought AR was way cooler than VR. Right. I think that because of the personal device thing, that's what's going to improve that. That's where we're going to see everything going. Right. And it's not just manufacturers, even my end users. I talked earlier about, the church thing, right, mm-hmm. where they are going to be out. They are even starting to anticipate things like hymnals in the back of pews no longer being a thing. State mandated. Right, because multiple people touching it throughout the day at various times. Blah, blah. So how do they bring that experience to the personal device or to big monitors or to whatever they're going to do, right? So we're going to see that on all aspects, from end users to manufacturers to is there a new market for the AV integrator here, which is a good thing because we're always looking for new markets because, like we've always said for the past couple of years, the death of the traditional AV integrator has come, right? If you're not on board with a lot of the new technologies and everything else, this is just another one of those new technologies that we need to figure out and how to do it. I know one of the things that we're actually working on is doing high definition virtual tours right now, right, as a thing, right? There's museums and whatever that are closed, right? So how do they keep their membership happy for people who are paying membership dues? And we're talking about doing, straight just virtual tours like Google Street View kind of stuff, right? Just another market to get into. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing with the House of Worship. Hymnals is not something I've thought of in a number of years.
No, me neither. No.
Mainly because the churches that I go to don't have them anymore. So that
Catholic,
is something.
So.
Wow, there is that.
Sit, stand, hymnal.
That's Jeremy Caldera at IAS Technology.
Yeah.
Kate, wrap this up for us, please. Is this something we are going to see where we're going to be more and more less touch when it comes to AV?
I'm excited to see exactly how this happens, especially as, like I said, I'm in Orlando. Disney's probably opening in June or July. And Brandy talks about more of the experiential design, about how when you enter a theme park or enter to go into the ride and stand in queue before you go onto a roller coaster, of how, AR and different sensors go off so that a docent comes in front of you to talk to you and still be engaging. It'll be interesting. I think we will see it, especially coming from some of our theme parks as well. We've already seen some of it at the theme parks, but I think they're going to amp it up and it'll be interesting to watch.
Is this something where, and we wrote a piece on the Magic Band a number of years ago when it first came out, and Disney's Magic Band, real briefly, if you're not familiar with it, and if you haven't been to Disney World in 10 years maybe, Kate, probably 8 or 9 years, it is an RFID. It's a bracelet that you wear. It's a wristband, and it's everything. It's your credit card. It's your room key. It's your ticket to the amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
Is this maybe something where Disney can even leverage that even more for some of these touchless interactive experiences?
Absolutely. I know it literally houses everything from wait times. It tells you your schedule that you're on. You can make reservations through it, and it's all done through your phone app as well. So I think it's just going to grow even more to the point where you may not have to actually be engaging with humans at the park. It might be leveraged by a whole lot more technology.
Let's not be silly. There's too many humans there not to engage with somebody.
I mean, like actual Disney employees. I think it'll be interesting.
Actual cast members, yes.
Cast members, yeah.
Yes, unless you want to. You stand in line and get your picture taken with them. So,
yep.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much. Mr. Caldera, thank you, sir.
No problem. Glad to be here.
How do people find you or IAS?
IAStechnology.net or Jeremy_Caldera on the Twitter.
All right, very good. Kate, thank you so much as always, and congratulations again on the SC and the 9.
Thank you. Super excited about that.
And how do people get a hold of you if they are so inclined?
You can find me on Twitter at TastefullyKate, or my email is kate@katecalderon.com.
All right, very good. And last but not least, my buddy, Ms. Megan Dutta. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for having me. You can follow the latest AV news at avnetwork.com, and you can find SCN on Twitter at SCNMag, and you can find me on Twitter at Megan A. Dutta. No H, because H's are ew.
Ew. I still don't get that joke. All right. Which is why I'm referred to as dad by a lot of people, which is fine, because I still have my hair, Caldera. But for me,
on purpose.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, because it's been 2 months since I've had a haircut too. That's the other thing. Don't follow me on the Twitters, but go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others, including our other weekly program that is hosted by my buddy Matt Scott. He covers the residential market, and actually he'll be talking with a young man from Hong Kong on this next coming week. So that'll be interesting. our old buddy Bruno Napoli got a job in Hong Kong, and we were arranging some things and getting him on, talking about some stuff over there. So also watch that website over the course of the next couple of weeks. We're doing some changing and rearranging, so check that out as well. Also go by the underwriter section. These are the folks who help us financially, help us bring you AV Week and Resi Week and all the others, and the coverage that we will be covering, what comes out of Infocom Connected. So all that and more at AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the time we have for AV Week.